Hello everyone, this is Peter Stone, also known as Bat from the band Exorcist, and I am making this video today about the JDXi, as promised I would in one of the forums online, specifically about the vocoder. But it needs a little back history first. So what you're looking at here is the current vocal rig that I used for the album God, which consists of the vocoder, known as the Electric's Warp Factory, which I love, don't get me wrong. But in doing the vocals, I needed to post-process that, and in doing so, picked up the Mo effects. Take it all out live, I thought. What could go wrong, I thought? Well, then it's always good to have a compressor, and then maybe a little bit of post-reverb at the end of it. So what you see before you is the final form.
We're programmed to serve you well.
Which I began thinking, this would be great to take out live. It's got a myriad of connections on the back. There's MIDI involved. Nothing really out of the ordinary from shows I've done in the past, but I'm touring. It's old equipment. It can break. You go over a bump and you're done. So I decided to look into a device that might be able to fit the bill in doing everything at once. I saw the JDXi and I noticed it had a vocoder built into it. Some of the things that seemed to pop out at me was the fact that it had parallel effects, quite a few of them. So let's take a look at what's really going on here. First, we have a Roland JDXi that pretty much has what I wanted in the first place, a vocoder. Then we have 4 effects banks. 2 of them are effect 1 and 2, delay and reverb. Effect 1 is basically your choice of distortion, fuzz, compressor, or a bit crusher. Number 2, a flanger, a phaser, ring mod, or a slicer. Number 3, a delay. And number 4, a reverb. I had just, in effect, replaced my entire rack. So I picked it up. So I get it out of the box, and obviously the first thing that comes to my mind is, well, let's hear this vocoder.
This is the sound of the JDXi's default program, number 257.
And I look at the effects on board and I'm thinking, this is pretty awesome. But I'm also noticing that there's some limited abilities as I'm looking at the front panel and wondering, well, how can I get into this and really edit it? Because I did read the manual, believe it or not. And I did read that through MIDI, you can control some of the aspects of like the delay, the taps, the feedback. So right there, I got pretty excited, as those are all really necessary in producing God and using the vocals to create that overall wash effect. So how to manipulate the JDXi to do that? Well, there is a free program called JDXi Manager that I found, which I recommend you download. I'll put the link somewhere down in there, and you'll like this new video processor that I'm using. Fake background, but freaks out, and you can kind of see over here, that's my Alesis Micron, who was the source of the original vocoder that I used on the album. But more into that. So you really need to run JDXi. It's free. I suggest donating because it really unlocks amazing things with the JDXi that you probably didn't realize. So let's get into the basics of the vocoder. That's really all I'm here for. And that is this. There are, like I said, 4 parts to the JDXi. There's the digital synth 1, 2, the analog synth, and then the drums. You can edit one of those, all of them, however you see fit with the editor. But the vocoder only works in digital synth 1. So if you want to play around with the vocoder and edit it, great. But you only get 1 synth to do that in. So you're thinking, well, okay, 1 synth, that's just 1 vocoder. Okay, well that's cool, because that's pretty much what every vocoder is, right? Well, here's the catch, and it's a kind of a cool one. In the digital synth, for the vocoder, there are what are called partials. Obviously, there are 3 separate either waveforms or PCM waveforms, and there's over 100 of them. There's like 160, 70, I don't know. You'll see. look at the manual like I did. But what that means is each partial you can turn on or off. And I noticed that all the presets for the vocoder were, I believe, just one partial. So they maybe did a square wave or a triangle wave. But then I'm like, well, what does partial 2 do? Exactly what you think. You turn it on, you get another wave, or you get another PCM. Same thing with partial 3. So now you have 3 vocoders at the fingertips, these things, and you can combine them. You can change the input gains on the PCM, so you could choose several of them, giving them different volumes. You can give them a little bit of character with cutoffs, and then with the actual oscillator waveforms, you can do a little bit of molding in there as well. So what you're left with is a sound that you can build from, I don't know, you figure 170 or so PCMs. If you really wanted to use all of them and all 3, that's quite a combination that you can go through. So the vocoder from the original rig does have some post EQ and album processing on it, and the JDXi is pretty much dry, with the exception of everything post goes out to the Behringer XR18, and it does a little bit of a delay separation, giving it a wider effect, but that's about it. So obviously you're going to do some post effects with this coming out of the JD, and you'll be able to fine tune it as well. So let's take a listen to the original again.
We're programmed to serve you well.
And now the JDXi in its dry format.
I ain't whatever you say.
Now granted, I did not spend a lot of time working on this patch, but I just wanted to give you the basics on how you can go ahead and choose various partials to create pretty much an endless selection of various vocoder effects. With the right amount of tweaking and processing, I'm sure I'll be able to get a little bit closer to the original sound. But then again, that's what live is all about. So that's the JDXi in a nutshell for the vocoder section, and it's what I'm taking out on my tour coming up. Mainly because as much as it doesn't sound exactly the same, after a little bit of post-processing and once it's in the live environment, it adds its own unique flavor to the sound, and you know, not too shabby for the fact that it's doing pretty much everything that an entire rig did. I give it one of these digital thumbs up kind of deals. I don't know. All right, thanks for watching. I don't know, I'm making channels. Subscribe if you'd like. And see you around. Bye.